The shocker: Trump's Great Reset. Imagine a single move that instantly dismantles years of Western strategy. We are witnessing a geopolitical earthquake. According to explosive new reports, Donald Trump has just made a decision that has sent shockwaves from Washington to Kiev: the lifting of oil sanctions against Russia. For years, these sanctions were the primary weapon intended to bleed Moscow dry. Now, in a stunning 180-degree turn, the armor is being stripped away. This isn't just a policy shift. It's a tectonic shift that leaves Volodymyr Zelensky standing on a collapsing floor. April, the month of collapse? While the world's eyes are glued to the escalating chaos in the Middle East and the looming shadow of war with Iran, a silent death blow is being dealt to Ukraine's treasury. A chilling report from the Financial Times is currently circulating through European halls of power. Ukraine could run out of money as early as April. We are talking about weeks, not years. The lifeline, a massive €90 billion loan, is currently being held hostage. The man holding the keys? Viktor Orban. Hungary has slammed the brakes on this survival fund, and without it, Kiev faces a total financial blackout. No salaries for soldiers, no power for cities, no hope for the front lines, the Druzhba betrayal. The tension between Kiev and Budapest has moved past diplomacy into an all-out political bloodbath. At the center of it all is the Druzhba pipeline, the iron artery of Russian oil. The accusation: Hungary claims Zelensky is intentionally sabotaging the pipeline to blackmail Europe. The response: Zelensky initially blamed Russian shelling, but recently his tone changed to something far more sinister. He admitted the repairs could be done in 45 days, but then dropped this bombshell. Just because something can be repaired doesn't mean it will be. This is a high-stakes game of energy poker, and Hungary has responded by blocking the money that keeps Ukraine alive. The unbreakable European unity? It's officially shattered. The script is being burned. If you thought the financial crisis in Europe was bad, prepare yourself, because what is happening in Washington is even more shocking. For years, the official line from the White House was clear and unwavering: massive economic sanctions. The goal was simple to explain but brutal to execute: crush the Russian economy, starve the Kremlin of energy revenue, and leave Vladimir Putin with a hollowed-out war chest. The Russian oil industry was the bullseye. But in a matter of weeks, Donald Trump has completely ripped up that script. To understand the magnitude of this U-turn, we have to look at what was happening just a few months ago. From 100% tariffs to open markets. Remember the hardline Trump. Earlier this year, Washington sent a terrifying message to New Delhi. India, one of the world's largest consumers of energy, had been feasting on discounted Russian crude since the war began. Trump's response was a declaration of economic war, a threat of 100% additional tariffs on Indian products. The message was: choose between the American market or Russian oil. The world held its breath. It looked like a global trade war was inevitable. But then, the black swan event occurred. The Iran factor, the Strait of Hormuz nightmare. The conflict in the Middle East exploded, and with it, the most sensitive nerve in the global economy was pinched. The Strait of Hormuz. Iran made the ultimate move, threatening to shut down this strategic waterway. Every day, millions of barrels of oil pass through this narrow gap. When Hormuz is threatened, the entire planet gasps for air. Oil prices didn't just rise, they went vertical. Suddenly, the word that every government fears most started echoing in the halls of the Treasury. Recession. A global, systemic, unstoppable economic collapse. The 30-day lifeline for Moscow. Facing a catastrophic energy shortage, the Trump administration did the unthinkable. They didn't just blink, they pivoted. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent announced a temporary 30-day exception for India. Yes, you heard that right. The same Russian oil that was supposed to be toxic and sanctioned is now being given the green light to enter the global market to prevent an American economic meltdown. Officially, it's a 30-day stabilizer. But history tells us a different story. Once a sanction is relaxed, once the door is cracked open, it is almost impossible to slam it shut again, especially when billions of dollars and global stability are on the line. The view from Kiev, a knife in the back? Now, look at this through the eyes of Volodymyr Zelensky. For over 2 years, he has begged his people and his allies to resist, to endure, and to believe that the sanctions would eventually break Russia. And now, the moment the West feels a little bit of economic pain at the gas pump, the rules are suddenly changed. The message being sent from Washington to Kiev is cold, calculated, and terrifying. When the global economy is at risk, the priority changes. Ukraine is realizing that its struggle is no longer the number one priority. First comes the energy supply, first comes economic stability, and then, somewhere down the list, comes the war in Ukraine. This isn't just a temporary waiver. It is a signal that the era of unconditional support is ending, replaced by the era of economic realism. The Kremlin's victory lap. While Kiev reels from this news, Moscow is watching the cash flow back in. Every barrel of oil India buys with Washington's blessing is more money for the Russian military. The sanctions haven't just been weakened. They've been bypassed by the very country that created them. But hold on, because the drama doesn't end here. While Washington is playing with oil, Vladimir Putin is preparing to play with fire. Russia is about to launch a counter-move involving Europe's gas supply that could turn a difficult winter into a total continental catastrophe. This shift reveals a brutal truth. The Western wall of solidarity is crumbling under the weight of surging prices. As Washington pivots to protect its own interests, Europe is left shivering and exposed. But the Kremlin isn't just watching. Putin has sensed the blood in the water. He is shifting his sights from oil to the one thing Europe cannot live without: LN. The trap is set, and the countdown to a total energy blackout has begun. This isn't just a crisis. It's a checkmate in the making. The LNG guillotine. While the world watches the oil markets, Vladimir Putin is preparing his most lethal strike: the total suspension of Russian LNG to Europe. Brussels is in a panic. For years, the EU claimed they were breaking free from Moscow, but the reality was a lie. Russian gas remained the silent life support system for the continent. Now, Putin is ready to pull the plug before Europe can even vote on new sanctions. With the Middle East in flames and the Strait of Hormuz blocked, Europe is staring into a continental blackout that could trigger the worst recession in history. The four horsemen of Kiev's collapse. We are witnessing a perfect storm. Everything is converging on one single point of failure: the military grind. Russia's relentless pressure is slowly reclaiming territory, while Ukraine's resources dwindle. The financial cliff. As the Financial Times warned, without the €90 billion loan held hostage by Hungary, Ukraine faces total insolvency by April. 3. Energy blackmail. Putin's gas threat is designed to turn European citizens against the war. The Trump pivot. Washington has signaled that global economic survival now outweighs the strategy of isolating Russia. From solidarity to capitulation, The word negotiation used to be a taboo. Today, it's the only reality left. But Moscow demands one thing: the total lifting of sanctions. Trump's recent oil waiver isn't just an adjustment, it's a signal that the wall of sanctions is crumbling. If Ukraine cannot pay its soldiers and Europe cannot heat its homes, the strategy of as long as it takes becomes, how do we get out? Is this the end for Zelensky? Is Ukraine being sacrificed for global stability? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to the channel. The next 60 days will redraw the map of Europe forever.